The premise of the movie is set in the 1950s in the United States. Although on paper African Americans have equal rights, in reality they are facing raging racism and segregation. One victim of such racism is a middle-aged black woman named Ruby Baptiste. At the beginning of the film, she is looking for a job in her predominantly white city. While in the same venture, she ends up at Marshall Field, a department store that used to be popular for its anti-black agenda. Ruby finds another black woman working in the store who they have appointed to seem more inclusive in changing times. She knows that the store will not allow two black girls to work in the same department, hence, she doesn't bother going in for the interview. Later that day, Ruby is working at a pub as a side hustle. It is a safe environment for black people since it lies in their part of the town. However, among the crowd, a white man catches Ruby's attention. He even pays for her drinks, an act that intrigues her. Ruby introduces herself and asks him what his intentions are. The man's name is William, and he claims that he has no bad intentions towards her. As they talk, the topic of being a black woman in America is brought up. Ruby expresses that because she is black, she is competing with her own people to get a job. If she had William's skin, she wouldn't have to run as fast as she is running right now. By the end of the night, it is evident that William fancies Ruby, which is uncommon because of their races. Ruby takes the chance and decides to come home with him. Soon, things get steamy, and they end up making love on the steps. Then comes the morning. Ruby wakes up and gets a look at her arms, which have miraculously turned white. Shocked, she walks up to the mirror to discover that she has completely turned into a white woman. She slaps herself to get out of the nightmare, and only after several attempts does she register that this is reality. She freaks out and goes outside in just a robe, but unlike usual, no one pays much attention to her. While frantically trying to make sense of the situation, she bumps into a black kid. He drops his popcorn everywhere, but the white cops nearby restrain him instead of Ruby. This is when she experiences white privilege for the first time. Before the kid is harmed, she tells the cops it was her fault. However, they are not regretful of accusing the child just because he is black. They politely escort her to the police car to bring her home. Ruby is unused to being treated so kindly by police, but she is too shocked to make sense of what is going on. At last, they find out she is William's friend and bring her to his house again. It turns out that the officers have been told that Ruby is William's wife and is mentally ill. When she discovers that they are taking her back to William's, she tries to escape. She has to stop because of sharp pain in her body that almost knocks her out. In the following scene, William brings her inside a room and lays her down on the floor. Ruby is still screaming in pain, oblivious to what is happening to her body. Then, her bones crackle and she starts transforming into her older self. William helps her with the transformation by cutting her with a kitchen knife. Her skin sheds, and it is revealed that she is the same Ruby under her white skin. After the situation dies down, Ruby is still weak, so she rests on his bed, while William tells her what is going on. He starts by explaining metamorphosis, a process that changes a caterpillar into a butterfly. The same process can be performed in humans, which is how Ruby turned into a white woman. He also asks her to rest assured because the transformation is reversible and only works if she drinks a potion from time to time. He further explains that the potion is not scientific, it is magical. Just when he says this, black butterflies fly above Ruby. Some years ago, William was working to apply metamorphosis to humans, but his practice was laughed at because it didn't seem practical to his colleagues. That was only until he met a man who had a secret to the universe and who gave him the potion. Ruby has a hard time taking everything in and is shocked to learn that magic is real. Now that the pain is gone, she can clearly spot the difference in how she was treated as a white woman. She felt like she was finally a human being. However, the pain was not worth it. William assures her it will get easier starting the second time. A while later, he leaves, but not before leaving Ruby a vial of potion and a bundle of money. He wants her to do anything she likes with them. After giving it some thought, Ruby decides to drink the potion and go outside as an entirely different person. She enjoys the day by strolling around the park without getting any uncomfortable stares. I guess misogyny doesn't exist in this world. Little things like buying ice cream is a different experience as a white woman. woman. She isn't feared or judged because of her skin color. Ruby discovers what freedom feels like for the first time in her life. At night, she is turned into her original self and is taking a bath in William's house. William finds her in a good mood and assumes her day went well. He is also curious as to why she didn't take the money that he left for her. Ruby replies that after her skin turned white, she didn't need the money anymore. William discloses that when the time comes, she will have to do a favor for him, but assures her that it isn't something drastic. Until then, she is free to live or come to his house anytime she wishes. The following day, Ruby changes her name to Hillary and applies for a job at the same department store that she couldn't get as a black woman. She is interviewed by the general manager, Paul. Her resume is impressive because she has studied and worked hard to succeed as an African American woman. Unimpressed, Paul even jokes that she might take his job. Aside from the formal questions, she is asked how she feels about working with colored people. Ruby replies that as long as they are qualified, she doesn't care. Satisfied with the answer, Paul offers her a job as an assistant manager. As Paul continues to chat, Ruby feels herself transforming back to her original self. She quickly makes up an excuse and escapes the situation. Thankfully, she manages to get into an elevator before fully turning. Later that week, she starts working as the assistant manager, a position so high not even the most qualified black woman could acquire it. Paul welcomes her by kissing her hand and is overly friendly to her sometimes. But since Ruby is drowning in the high of being white, she hardly notices his advances. After that, she goes to Tamara, the black woman whose employment hurt her chances last time. Although she was the reason Ruby didn't get the job, she doesn't hold a grudge against her own people. In fact, Ruby makes sure to remind Tamara that she has been appointed because of her qualifications, and she shouldn't let anyone undermine that. In reply, Tamara reveals that she is a high school dropout. The confession sends Ruby into a moral dilemma. She has always preached that employment should be based on one's qualifications, but seeing her own people misusing the power, she is left confused on what side she is on. Later on, Ruby is with her female colleagues in the back room, trying on clothes and dancing together. The white women are shocked at how well she dances. Upon finding out that she has been to a club in a predominantly black area, they urge her to take them as well. "Let's appropriate some culture," they say. Ruby is shocked because she had thought white women would dread being around black people, but it turns out they are interested in black culture, but are unwilling to accept them as people. Ugh. The following day, Ruby finds Tamara not doing her job right. She scolds the girl, saying that she can only be an asset to her race if she is better at her job. Since it is coming from a white woman, Tamara thinks the message is condescending and racist. As Ruby continues yelling at her, Paul interrupts them, asking if everything is alright. Ruby immediately composes herself and says that Tamara was just offering to show them around the black pub later that day. After work, Paul, Tamara, Ruby, and the three white women go to the club. Listening to her white colleagues talking about black people and culture, Ruby feels disheartened. She has started to lose a sense of originality in the first week of being a white woman. When no one is looking, she goes outside and breaks the vial of potion with her hands. This turns her back into a black woman, and she feels much better than she did earlier. Just then, she hears a noise in the background. Upon peeking through a hole, she sees Paul forcing himself onto Tamara. This reminds Ruby of all the times he has looked down upon Tamara, calling her names behind her back and insulting her for being black. He is so desperate that he is taking advantage of a helpless girl. Ruby burns in anger, but before she can do anything, Tamara takes a stand for herself. She bites Paul's lip and gets free from his hold. In the following scene, Ruby is sitting on William's couch, covered in her own blood from frequent transformation. From the basement door comes a beautiful girl named Christina. Ruby has seen her once or twice before and assumes that she is William's assistant. Christina says that she knows what Ruby is going through, but in turn, Ruby claims she will never understand the pain of being black. Christina agrees, but asserts that William didn't give her the potion so she could turn white. He gave her the potion so she could do everything she wanted to as a black woman. This changes Ruby's perspective. For the past week, she has been trying hard to do things as a white person and has forgotten what she would do in their place as a black woman. The following day, Ruby turns into Helen for the last time and goes to the office to hand in her resignation. Paul is shocked that a new and competent girl like her is leaving so soon. However, Ruby explains that she is attracted to Paul, and the only way for her to be together with him is as a lover, not as his employee. Paul, unable to control himself, kisses her. but Ruby stops him, asking him to be more patient. She wants to turn him into a toy and make him long for her before she gives in. She ties his hands and pulls his pants down. As Paul looks at her in anticipation, she ties his belt around his neck and treats him like a dog. Paul is enjoying the moment until he notices her eyes are changing colors. He asks her to stop, but she ignores him and stuffs his mouth with a gag so he cannot scream. Then she proceeds to assault him with her stiletto heel. By the end of the torture, her white skin is completely peeled off and she is covered in blood again. This is getting wild. In the following scene, Ruby finds William at home coming out of the basement. She has seen him and Christina come and go from the basement several times. Moreover, it is the only place in the house with a lock. She inquires what is going on down there. Suddenly, William falls to the ground in pain. To Ruby's shock, he goes into metamorphosis and turns into Christina. It is then revealed that Christina is her true form, and she turns into William because of the potion. She brings Ruby into the basement, where the real William and Hillary are attached to machines. Christina uses their blood to create the potion, which she further puts into use to disguise herself as William. It is revealed that Christina was a scientist, working with a group of men who never believed in her. She was also discriminated against because of her gender, so she changed herself into William and reached an immense height of success. Ruby is shocked by the revelation and realizes that Christina has lost herself because of the magic. She also comes to terms that she doesn't need the potion anymore because she doesn't want to be white. She has learned to embrace her skin color, no matter how she is treated because of it. All that matters is that she doesn't lose her integrity and pride.